Well, hey folks, welcome back to Good Enough Customs. So this week we're going to go back to the big block as promised. It's been sitting here for a little bit. I've tinkered a little bit here and there, not done a whole lot. Basically, I've got the intake's just sitting there, so don't mind that. But I did put the timing cover on, so that guy's in there. He's ready to go. I did put the oil pan on, along with the oil pump and the pickup. Let me find a seat. When I put the oil pan on, you know, I measured, I double checked things, went through and just verified, you know, hey, this is, the pan measured 8 3/4 depth. The only pickup I could find based off of the engine and all that other stuff that would kind of work with this was a 9-inch pan pickup. So I measured, remeasured, put a little grease on the end of the pickup, set the pan on, didn't find a witness mark, didn't find anything like that. So figured I was good, and I went ahead and put the oil pump, you know, tacked the pickup in there. Went ahead and put the oil pump on, got the pan put in, got all that stuff done, and then when I was bolting the pan down, I kind of noticed this. So I may have to, I'm going to roll this motor over and pull this pan back off, because this kind of scares me. So, you know, if you just kind of, sounds all right. Nice hollow sound. Gets a little dead right about where that pickup is, which is right in this area. I don't know if you can see. Right around in here somewhere. But it's nice and hollow back here. You know, since this is the motor, I'm pretty much, this is the first time I'm putting a motor together from, you know, top to bottom. Terrified of screwing something up. It costing myself a bunch more money. So just to be on the safe side, I'm gonna pull the pan back off. We're gonna double and triple check that pickup tube, make sure that it's not just sitting flush up against the bottom of the pan, because, you know, if it's doing that, it ain't sucking oil, so that would be a bad time. So I guess here in just a minute, I'm gonna pull, the valve covers haven't been put on, they're just sitting there, intake's just sitting there, so I'll have to pull those guys back off, and then roll the motor, which that's a lot of weight. And last time the stand hopped, and this metal wheel right there landed squarely on that big toe right there. And, you know, of course I'm wearing flip-flops. It's still warm out. So that hurt. The toenail's mostly grown back now, so, you know, it's cool. But yeah, so I'll roll this guy over. I'll probably use my little, you know, trampoline pipe that I've got to try to control this thing, because I didn't do that last time, and she rolled over very violently. So we're gonna try to control that this time. But we're gonna roll it over, pull the pan, and start double checking things, make sure everything is copacetic there. So I guess that's where we're gonna get started, and yeah, I'll be right back. That was much better than last time. So let's get this pan off. Well, the good news is I'm not feeling any oil or anything on the pickup, so I wasn't sitting flush. I wonder if let's see, right around where that guy sits, there's a big old dent. I wonder if I might ought to knock that dent out. I don't know. I'm gonna hose out the bottom of the pan with some brake clean and clean that up, and then we'll do a little dab of grease again and double check everything. So we got us a little daub on here. That should represent 3/8 to a 1/2 inch. Somewhere in that neighborhood. The bottom of the pan's clean, freshly wiped out, so let's set her back on there and see what we can't figure out. As soon as I find where I'm hitting. Okay, so the pickup's right in this neighborhood, which is about where I was thinking it was. So now this is with the gasket and everything. Now granted, there's going to be a little squish there, but if it ain't touching with any of those things, then I think we're golden. So, all right, let's pop her off and find out what we got. As you can see, there's nothing here. Okay, good. Fantastic. So, I pulled the oil pan off for no reason. But, you know, whatever. You know, like I said, first motor I'm actually putting all the way together. I would definitely rather err on the side of caution and make sure that I'm not starving this thing on, you know, first startup or anything like that, so it's not starving of oil and, you know, ruining what's basically ended up to be a $2,800 investment, maybe $3,000. I don't know. I haven't added up all the pricing yet, but I want to say it was somewhere around high 2s to 3,000 is kind of where I'm sitting on this guy right now. So, all right, so that's fine. Everything's good there. We're not touching. So I think I'm just gonna slap the pan back on and move on to the next thing. All right, so oil filter adapter. So this guy came with this, which is your oil cooler adapter. It sat in there, something along like this. And of course it's got the spin on here for the oil filter. We're not running an oil cooler on this guy, so have to adapt it and picked up this little guy. It's just a little adapter, sits down in there and bolts in place. The only issue is this is a Summit part number, so you can see that good. It says it's for a small block Chevy, but big block, small block, it's the same crap. So the difference is the other one uses a bolt this long. You don't mind the tape. That's what I was using to figure out how long of a bolt I needed. The one I bought did not come with bolts, so had to run to the hardware store, picked up some, I think these are 5/16 by 18, and then these are 1 inch or 1 1/4. I think these are 1 1/4. And yeah, so pretty much get her in place, get the guys started, get them cranked down, boom, you've got a spin on oil filter now. So not a real difficult process here. I've seen some of these kits, they come with all sorts of stuff. This one has a bypass built into it. Some of them have no bypass, some of them have O-rings, some of them have gaskets, all this other stuff. You really don't have to have that. As long as, if you have to buy a set of bolts, you just got to make sure that they're not going to be taller than like this head on this factory one. So that way it clears the mounting surface or the sealing surface for the oil filter. So we'll get this guy ran down and we'll be ready to roll this motor back over on you know, right side up. All right, well, I'm not going to sit there and roll this guy up without at least putting a filter on it and testing it out. Unfortunately, I forgot to go pick up filter or any of that stuff. So I just remembered I had this guy sitting on the shelf. I've probably moved this stupid thing around God knows how many times. I think it's moved like 4 times with me. I'm not even sure what year I bought this thing from or what year this is from. But anyways, I've had this old Fram filter sitting around forever, a little PH30. But she spins right on, sits where she's supposed to, seals up. So I'm not going to run a Fram, don't worry. I'll end up putting a Wix on this guy, but just to make sure everything's closed up, we'll leave that guy on there. maybe the first run will go on that or something, since it'll just be a, you know, burner run anyway. So, all right, I'm gonna roll the motor back over and let's get back on the top side. All right. This is never an easy task. Hercules, Hercules. It's a big bitch. All right, folks. So ready for the intake to go on. Everything else is done on the bottom end. So now we just got to drop the intake on. So we've got to build our channel walls here. They come with those rubber ones, or sometimes they come with cork. Don't use those stupid things. Yeah, I know they plug into these little holes here, but they tend to move and do things, and then they blow out. So just get you some nice RTV. Build you about a 1/4 inch tall wall across the front and across the rear. Make sure you bring it up onto the edge of your head on each side. That way, you know, kind of rules out that little corner leak, I guess you would say. So yeah, let's do this. All right, now we got the RTV on there. You're going to let that sit for a few minutes, let it tack up so it gets a little spongy. And then I'm going to go get the gaskets, go get the intake gaskets slid on. And then we'll drop the intake on. But we're going to give this thing a few minutes to tack up, so that way it gives us the best seal possible. So be right back. All right, so we're gonna come back, double check this guy, make sure that he's looking right, so I can touch it and it doesn't pull away on my finger. We are squish ready. So went ahead and added a little bit to the back side of the intake gaskets, and well, this one side just keeps wanting to drop, so he's testing my patience. This side looks okay, and let's give this guy the good old plop. All right. So you want to try and come down as square as you can, so you're not moving stuff. I'd say that is an okay shape right there. Now, I did do a dumb thing and I forgot to get bolts. So I've got these bolts that came off the old motor that are rusty and rough as hell. So we're just going to go ahead and drop these guys in and use them for now. And then I'll buy a set of stainless bolts to use later on. I'm not tightening these up just yet. I'm just running them down where they're actually starting to kind of touch the intake. All right, so intake's torqued down. Like I said, these are just the crappy bolts that I had from the old intake. They're rusty and rough looking. I'm gonna find some stainless ones and pull these back and, you know, replace those with some nice stainless. These guys, I didn't find 16. Well, I did find 16, but not 16 of the right size. So So I didn't worry about these on the outside edges. But just to get the RTV to set up and do what it's supposed to do, the bolts that we've got in here should do just fine. I'm not running the motor today, so not terribly worried about it at this point. So, but you can see we got a nice little squish going there. So that should seal up very nice. You can see here on the corner where it comes on up, where the corner of the intake gasket would be. Can't see so much on that side. And then back here in the back, again, we got a nice little squish going. You can see where it feeds up into the corner, and that ought to seal up pretty well. So we're gonna call that good for now. I guess since we are this far into it, I guess we'll put the valve covers on. Ain't no sense in not doing that. So we'll throw the valve covers on it really quick, you know, permanently affixed, because we don't have to remove the intake again. You know, when I go to change out the bolts, it'll just be as, you know, as it sits. So let me get the gaskets and all that fun stuff for the valve covers, and yeah, I'll be right back. Went ahead and threw some tape over the open holes on my valve covers just to make sure it's sealed up good. Figure might as well go ahead and drop the distributor in. Already verified I am at top dead center, because we were smart enough to do that before we finished assembling the motor. So one thing you want to make sure is your oil pump. If you look at your distributor, you know, now this is a very stripped down distributor, but if you look at it, you've got your little blade here that hooks in to turn the oil pump. And then at the top, you're going to have your rotor. Well, typically, your blade and your rotor, which this one doesn't have, are facing the same exact direction. So you can slide this guy, like I said, this is a stripped down one. Literally, this is the only reason why I have this. Is just slide her down in there, find your way down, get seated on the oil pump, and then take and turn it and point it towards cylinder number 1. So now my oil pump should be pointed at cylinder 1, so I know where we're at. And like I said before, this is I have an older distributor that I pulled out of one of the trucks. I don't remember which, but it kind of did some weird stuff. It kind of acted like it was missing. So we can try to get him lined up on the oil pump. That is not, nope, there it went. All right, so I may be a tooth off. So I'm a tooth off, so I'll have to just pull this back out, grab my other one, and turn it and, you know, adjust it to where it needs to be. There we go. Close enough. Like I said, this is an older one. I'm going to end up taking and I'm going to get a different cap and cover and all that stuff for it. Make it black, make it pretty. But at least we know the distributor is pointed at top dead center. That'll at least get us in the ballpark when it comes time for first fire. Alrighty, so fuel pump time. So in order to get the new fuel pump rod in there, I got to pull this pipe plug out and destroy the paint on it. So this motor originally did not have a mechanical fuel pump. It was an electric fuel pump. It was a TBI motor, but the block is set up to do either or, really. I've got a block off plate, but I did go, I believe, on Summit and order a push rod for the fuel pump. So you got to pull that pipe plug out in order to sit there and slide this on up in there to get it, you know, to hit the, you know, to hit the thing. So before we go sliding her up in there, though, I'll throw a little grease on it. You know, we don't want these things going in dry. That is never the answer. Always need it slicked up a little bit. So we can get that going up in there. Throw a little grease on this end of it as well. Rod's in, it's greased up, everything should be good to go on that front. So we can go back and put our pipe plug back in, because, you know, that would be a bad thing. Forget to put that back in and oil just come pouring out of this thing. Alright, so fuel pump I ordered is this guy. Sorry, there's not a ton of room over here. And you can kind of see the part number there. It's I think it's like 7 psi, but it's 110 gallons per hour. So it should do everything we need it to do as far as you know, fueling this big block. Throw a little grease here on the. Now we can drop the fuel pump in. All right, fuel pump installed. All right, well, if you might remember, the Woodruff key that I got out of this guy was an absolute bear. It was really stuck in there, so I bought a Woodruff key kit, so I got some brand new ones. Come to find out, though, that the new key measures 0.19 inches, where the old key measures 0.18 hundredth of an inch. Not that big of a deal. Yeah, big deal. So I've had this guy laying on a flat piece of sandpaper, just working it back and forth, trying to knock off that 100th of an inch. So I believe I got her, and should be able to knock it on in there now. Should being the operative word. All right, got the Woodruff key in. I went ahead and set this guy up here. A couple things you're going to run into. One, you're not supposed to use the crank bolt with its, you know, ginormous washer to seat the damper. And I don't have an installation tool. So once again, here at Good Enough Customs, we don't believe in running out and picking up a tool every time you need one. We'll just kind of make it work. So I've got an old, it's part of a shock. I don't know what it's from. I've had it in my bolt box. Everybody's got a bolt box. Had it in my bolt box forever. Just so happens it's the same thread as the crank. So we can go ahead and run that guy on in. Get him snugged up. And then some of y'all might remember this tool as my valve spring tool that I was using on, well, when I was doing the heads on this thing. If you don't remember that, I'll throw a link up here at the top. So multi-purpose tool time. Drilled a hole in the back side of it. That slides right over, and I got my nut that goes on the other end of this shock tower. So now we're not cranking and tightening up on the crank. So we should be able to crank this guy down and force everything on. So let's see if ingenuity has smiled on me today. So far, seems like we're making headway. I think that's all she's got on that one. All right, folks. Well, you see all this? There should be egg on my face right now because, yeah, redneck innovations did not prevail on this one. Tried a few different things. They all started failing. Basically, I didn't have enough thread to continue pushing the balancer on there. So we ended up having to run out and pick up an installation tool. So now I've got an installation tool. It's okay though. This ought to make it go a little bit quicker, hopefully. All right, well, shh, quiet. The the damper's on, ready to go. It's seated. It's where it needs to live. So let's put a pulley on this guy. And yeah, look at these fellers. Picked up some nice billet ones off of the old eBay for I want to say these things are like 80 bucks or something like that. It was not very expensive for aluminum pulleys, and they are very nice. So figure might as well go ahead and bolt this up and make it look really pretty. Don't worry, I got one for the water pump and one for the power steering pump as well. I didn't get one for the alternator, so it was like a 3 pulley set. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and mount up the water pump. Kinda. This is more of a mock-up mount up, mainly because I don't have any bolts for a water pump, and I found a few, but they're not quite right. So we're going to do kind of a mock-up on this guy, and I'll just order a dang bolt kit for it. I keep digging and hunting for screws and bolts and stuff. Usually I do a pretty good job about bagging stuff and keeping up with them, but yeah, I kind of failed on this one. So could not find a single bolt to work on the water pump. Plus the new pulley for the water pump is a tapered bolt. So this is my solution for right now. A couple zip ties. It's on there. It's just mocking up everything. But yeah, she looks very nice. Also stuck this old Edelbrock 600. This is not the carburetor's going on. I got a Holley 750. I think it's a 750 that I can slap on here. But just as like a little mock-up, you know, put the little carburetor on it. But I still got to get a water neck. Keep forgetting to order that. I got to get my bungs, I guess, for the coolant for the front and the rear. So what I'm doing right now is I figured let's go ahead and see about mocking up the headers. And I ran into this on Big John when I did the big block on it. The lower head bolts, so these guys here, they're just in the way. You can't get the damn thing to mount up on every single one. So I put some tape on here, figure hold it up there, or get somebody else to hold it up there, crooks here. So you know, mark it, grind off the edge of the flange, grind it down a little bit so it'll clear the bolts, and then I can hang the exhaust manifolds on the block and we can see what that looks like. So I guess that's what we're gonna do real quick. So I'll be back. All right, so got started on this and forgot to turn the camera on. Yeah. So easiest way I found to do this is sitting like so, propping up the header here with my leg. I got one bolt in on the front, and the rest of them won't sit down. So right here you can kind of see that's where we're catching, is right off of this corner. So yeah, let's set that bolt down there. So all I'm going to do is get in here and mark this corner. We're probably going to take off quite a bit, so we'll probably take off about that much to begin with, and then we'll copy that. I don't know if y'all guys actually can see the mark, but we're way up here. There, okay, there you go. Yeah, way up here. We're going to take off that much of it to begin with, and then we're pretty much going to copy that on the rest of these all the way down, because it's the bolt's in the exact same spot. The bolt's in the exact same spot all the way down. So, you know, right there, we're going to take off. We're going to take off this corner and this corner. So that should get it to let us sit this thing down and actually get the header bolted up, and, you know, good times ensue. So let me finish marking these guys up, and then I'll grind them down and we'll come back for the test fit. All right, quick little update. I took a lot off of that guy. You can see a pretty good gap there, probably 1/8 of an inch. Didn't take as much off this fella, and he's pretty much sitting on that bolt. Same thing here, just clearing that bolt. I bet you can't fit a gnat's hair in there. And then this one, you can see I'm kind of rubbing some of the paint here, but I've taken and made some marks and gonna knock just a little bit more off of these last three. Like I said, this front one, it's got a big old gap in it, so take a little bit more off of these guys, and we should be in good shape. So it's gonna look good. Yeah, she's gonna look nice. So all right, let me finish buzzing those off, and then I'll do the other side, and I'll be back. Well, done-ish. Or done as far as I can go for now. So yeah, turned out all right. Don't mind the Good Enough Customs hat, because it's hiding that. That is horrible. So got both sides ground down, both sides loosely bolted up, and I think that's going to work out okay. So yeah, so I still got a few things left to get. Water neck, forgot that. Got to figure out what I'm going to do for the coolant passages for the front and rear. Figure out what's going on there. I need to order some stainless steel bolts for the intake. Also need to order some bolts for the water pump. Got to get an oil cap, or if you're looking at it this way, it's a 710 cap. But got to get that, and spark plugs, which I think I have. Oh, I do have a dipstick tube, so I could get that guy dropped in there, I suppose. Don't necessarily have to have that right now, but I do have one. I just bought a cheapie. I didn't go crazy with it. I don't know how it's going to fit with the header. Let's see. How's she going to want to fit? Okay, so I may have to take the header off to get that on there. So that'll be somewhere in that neighborhood, back behind here. So it should sit somewhere in this neighborhood. Should bolt up right there. Sorry, maybe point the camera where y'all can see. But it should bolt up right in here to that part of the flange and hang out right there. Just went with black because, you know, it's cheap. So, let's see. What do we got? Water neck, bolts for the water pump, stainless steel for the intake. I've got to get some tapered bolts for the water pump pulley because, you know, zip ties, that's not going to last. Now, if I was to try to run this like this, I would have run another one this way and another one this way. That way we would be completely squared off. Might get me 5 minutes down the road in worst case scenario. Let's see, what else do we got to go to here? Got to get a new distributor cap and, you know, coil cover, because that's just ugly as homemade sin. So I'm also, I'm tempted. I just don't know if I can pull it off financially at the moment. It's always a credit card. But I thought about going with a Holley Sniper setup on this guy. It'd be kind of cool, you know. I don't know if I want to spend the money for that just yet. I don't even know how much those things are going for right now. Last I saw was like $1,800. I don't know if I want to drop $1,800 right now. I know you can buy just the throttle body part, you know, this part. I know you can get that for like $1,000, $1,200, something like that. But seeing it on Crook's son on Caden's truck, his old 350 running with the Hyperspark distributor, you know, the whole shebang, it worked really, really well. Yeah, it's a lot of money though. So I think for now, we're probably just going to rock with the carburetor. That'll be a future purchase, maybe. Or just go all in and get their direct port injection thing. Who knows? We'll see what we do. But that would be That's a long ways down the road. So for now, you know, of course, the parts that I mentioned, I got to get a new cap. I'm not sure. I'm sure there's other stuff I'm missing here that I'm gonna need. I've already got my mounts for the alternator and the power steering pump. Those guys are over here. That is this ICT kit. And these guys, these kits are amazing, especially for the price. It's, you know, it's aluminum, billet aluminum. You know, it's got good hardware that comes with it. It's all the spacers, all the instructions. So I did, when I ordered that kit, you can get, of course, you know, the power steering pump mounts in this general vicinity. And then typically your alternator's hanging out way over here. Well, they now offer a low alternator mount. So my alternator's going to hang out somewhere here. So this whole part of the motor will be, you know, unimpeded, so to speak. So it'll be really cool. I'm pretty hyped up to get that in there. Let's see, what else have we got? I think that's about it. Oh, in case y'all guys didn't notice, I put my red paint down in that little crack for my top dead center mark. That, I can't recommend that enough. Whenever it gets time to time this guy, you'll see that thing jumping out at you like crazy. The only other way that it might be better is if it was white. I don't have any white paint. I just had some really nice red. So I think the only other part that I have that I haven't put on here is the starter. And I do have a mini starter that will obviously go back down in there, you know, where the starter goes. I've got that guy. He's still over here in my Summit box, just chilling out and waiting. I do believe that guy is a Summit part as well. I'm pretty sure it's a Summit part. You know, fairly inexpensive. That's kind of what I'm trying to do here, is build this thing as cheaply as I can, as well as I can for as little as money as I can, if that makes sense. I'm sure it does. But anyways, all right. Well, I think I've done all the damage I can do today / this weekend on this motor. Like I said, I've got to get some bolts and stuff in order to, you know, move forward. So anyhow, folks, I guess that's going to wrap it up for this week. I've done all the damage I can do until I get a few more pieces and parts. We're not too far from actually doing something else with this motor, which I'm hoping to kind of build a little temporary engine stand type setup for it. That way I can run it. I don't have to put it in a car, because it is, you know, like I said, it's going into Pontiac. But first I've got to get old K5 out of the shop first before I drag another one in here. So get the K5 out of the shop, and then I can pull the Pontiac in, and we can get rolling on that guy. And that's where his home's going to be, at least temporarily. And then down the road, maybe it'll find its way into Steve. Or maybe the 69. I don't know. I'm still pretty set on putting an LS in the 69. So anyhow, so that'll wrap it up for this one. If y'all guys like if you like the video, be sure and hit the like button. If you've made it this far and you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting on? Just hit that little subscribe button down there and help the channel out. So anyhow, folks, like I said, appreciate y'all watching. And till next week, y'all guys take it easy. And just remember, it ain't got to be perfect. Yeah, we know. You're not perfect. But you're good. It ain't got to be perfect, folks. Just good enough. And y'all have a good week. And we'll see y'all next time.